What is the most overrated cuisine? Fancy cupcakes. Every designer cupcake I've had has been incredibly dry. I just don't get why they charge $5 to $10 per serving. But the quality of the cake is below a Walmart sheet cake. Not really a cuisine per se, but shock food. You know those giant milkshakes with whole slices of cake and candy on top? Or quadruple cheeseburgers with so much cheese it's running everywhere. It's just not practical, tasty, and really only exists to get a cool picture. After reading few comments, I'm hungry as hell. Complicated burgers. Some are good, but others have far too much on to eat without disassembly or using a knife and fork. Gold-flaked cuisine. Most people here need to look up the word cuisine. Geez. Our family has been restaurant investors for 40 years. High-end French cuisine using offal or organ meats. These dishes are pushed because the costs of these types of meats are very low and produce a huge profit margin. Also, the lack of experience with guests cooking these types of dishes for themselves mean very few patrons complain about authenticity. Usually a chef will throw her twist in the menu. Most customers can tell the difference between a great pizza and a mediocre one. They'll remember a great steak, but a restaurant may be paying huge premiums to fly that Wagyu in from Japan or for your Flintstone tomahawk. Whereas a local butcher shop will gladly unload offal and sitch with glee due to low demand. You'd be surprised as to how little we paid for cow brains, for example. Kid cuisine. The brownie usually comes out hard as a rock and the mac and cheese is watery. Removed. Lower Slobovian. Deconstructed anything. Something for everyone. Restaurants. Anywhere where the menu has a ridiculously extensive offering. If I'm flipping multiple pages and not even halfway, I just know everything is about to taste questionable. Modern UK pub grub. It's utter shite now. The most expensive dishes. Yeah, man, these diamonds sautéed in truffle oil and emerald dust are good. But do you have a cheeseburger? Quote. Salt Bay. Removed. Dirty fries. They're just always disappointing, probably because they become mushy and end up like a glorified baked potato. 9/10 responses are from people who don't know what cuisine means. Lean. No cuisine. But I am sick of the whole bacon life meme. It was funny for a couple of decades. But enough already. Bacon flavored anything is disgusting. Expensive Italian. A $30 pasta is straight robbery. Lobster. It's fine. It's just not really worth its cost. I also like eating it in things rather than by itself. The lobster rolls I had in Maine were much better than lobster straight up. Edit. Yes. As many have said, crab is delicious and the superior choice by a mile. Mexican food. It's good, but people overhype the shit out of it, especially growing up in CA. Any foam or mousse from a Michelin star restaurant. Pigeon foam. WTF, did I just pay $200 to eat? Rather than pick on a specific nationality or style of cuisine, I'll talk about presentation. Any restaurant where portion sizes get smaller as the price goes up is the very height of Epicurean pretentiousness. Like if they actually serve you enough food to be satisfied. It might as well be McDonald's. I spent a lot of years working in restaurants. And the ironic thing is, what's on your plate is by far the smallest expense in serving that plate. To you, there's no reason for tiny portions other than pretentious douchebaggery. None of you are correctly answering this. Cuisine equals Italian, French, Mexican. Twinkies, I seriously don't understand how Tallahassee liked him enough to risk his life for them. American Italian. It's heavy and repetitive. All these people saying Thai is overrated have never had good Thai food. Removed. Anything covered in gold leaf adds nothing but cost to the item. Steak. I call it the steak cult. For the life of me, I cannot understand it. Don't get me wrong. I like a good steak. I eat it relatively often. It is sometimes exactly what I'm craving. And there's absolutely a difference between a good steak and a bad steak. But the steak cult is way beyond that. People fetishize it as the best meal you could ever have. On a menu, they'll be willing to pay double or triple the price for any other main dish. Just because it's steak. They fall for every silly, cheap marketing trick in the book. Oh, this one isn't just Angus. It's Black Angus beef. That'll be 30% more expensive. This one here is 5 million hour aged Wagyu beef and the cow was slightly cross-eyed. I'm afraid you'll have to remortgage your house to afford this prime slice of meat. It's dumb. On an objective level, the complexity that goes into cooking a steak is far less than a really good risotto. The flavors are less complex. And you can simply do less. It's less innovative. And less overall impressive. It's also completely decoupled from supply and demand. A saffron risotto should cost significantly more than just about any steak. Saffron is actually rare. Whereas cows are everywhere. And there's no shortage of even the prime beef cows. Plus then all of the fetishization around how you insult the chef and the meat if you order it any other way than medium rare. The whole thing is just infuriating. It's so wrapped up in last century ideas of meat being rare and precious. And the more meat you ate, the richer you were. But I just want to shake people and say, do you really think that the $130 steak you just bought is 4 times better than any pasta dish or coq au vin or sushi or paella or pizza you've ever had? Seriously?